Hello, welcome back to My Mythical Meta, your friendship podcast that's actually a magic podcast.
Bum, bum, bum.
What?
Yes.
Finally, the pivot the community's been asking for. We've heard your complaints. We are pivoting in response.
That's right. Well, the analytics don't lie, fellas.
It's true.
Our magic vids get more views. And I got a thirst, I got a thirst. So we're going to do a quick little magic episode today. We're going to talk about some cards that are great for beginner players and also great on a budget. Today's topic is the best removal spells for under $2. My name is Travis. I'm joined by the entire crew today. My brother Benjamin is here.
Hello?
My good friend Derek, and my very good friend Randy.
How's it going?
Why is Derek your good friend and Randy's your very good friend?
Why are you trying to sow chaos, Benjamin?
I know what I did.
Yeah.
It's because Randy paid a substantial portion of my trip to Japan.
Okay. Fair.
But that was
You gotta
20
pay.
years. That's 20 years of birthdays and Christmases. You
Yes, it
get nothing
is.
from me for the next 2 decades.
Yes, it is.
So
Before we get started, we have got a shout out today to Becky.
Yay,
Hey,
Becky.
Becky.
Becky, thank you so much for contributing to the pod. We so appreciate your patronage, and we appreciate all of our patrons. If you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/mymythicalmeta. Benjamin, what's a perk people can get when they join our Patreon?
My favorite perk for joining our Patreon is 20% off at eldoradogaming.com. You sign up, you get a code, use that code on our website. It doesn't expire. You can keep using it. Get all the stuff you want. Check back for new items. It's always 20% off if you are a Patreon at My Mythical Meta.
All your birthdays and Christmases for the next 20 years
There you go.
at eldoradogaming.com for 20% off. Randy, what's the next perk?
early and ad-free content. So you'll never have to worry about waiting for those 30-second unskippable ads when you have Patreon.
That's right. And then, of course, access to the My Mythical Meta Discord server. This is where we play our games. This is where the Mythical Meta plays our games together. So if you want to learn about the decks we're building for our Secret Santa or our challenge decks that we're building, those games are coming up. We've got it scheduled December 7th, boys. You ready?
Yeah.
Yes. My decks are already ensleeved. Derek, what's the surprise perk this week for any new patrons?
Surprise perks this episode. If you join, I will give you my 2024 calendar. It's still got a month and a half left. It's got all my friends and family's birthdays marked on it. It is based on kind of like beautiful landmark type stuff. Like right now, it's the Strakkorkur Geyser. I don't know. Iceland,
love
some kind of
it.
Iceland geyser or something. I don't know. Icelandic.
Okay.
And it could be yours for the small price of 4 recurring payments for as long as we do this podcast. And hopefully forevermore if you forget to cancel your membership.
Yes.
Yeah, don't use Rocket Money.
Continue buying me let's see. Continue buying my medications for the rest of my life.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey,
All right,
$4 a month
so-
medications. That's great.
Hey,
I'm on my wife's insurance, y'all.
There you go.
She got that sweet, sweet Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Whoa. Too rich for my blood.
Exactly.
I don't
Okay.
even know what intro.
Let's get to today's topic. The best removal spells for under $2. We are hoping that people who are new to Magic are finding our channel. And I'm hoping that this is a video that beginners find helpful. We're going to go through each color of Magic, and we're going to point out what we think are the best removal spells under $2. So if you are a beginning player, this is going to be a great list of powerful cards for not a lot of money. They are probably in some of the pre-constructed decks you may have bought up to this point. A lot of them get lots of reprints, which is why their dollar value stays low. If they're getting lots of reprints, then that's great for you, the secondhand consumer. If you need to buy cards individually, you don't have to pay a lot for these cards. Removal is important in any game, and in Magic especially. If your opponents have a threat, you need to be able to answer it. Whether that threat is a creature, an enchantment, an artifact, and that's the focus of today's episode. You guys have anything you want to add? Anything you want to add about the importance of removal or how great it is to find removal on a budget?
Sure. Yeah. First, check out our deck building episode where we talk about how many you should run and the kinds of things you're looking for depending on what deck you have. And what episode is that?
I don't know. I will
Okay.
put it up in the corner.
There you go.
Right
if you're on
now.
YouTube, it's over there.
And it's in the corner.
Everybody just point
It's a different
that way.
direction.
Everybody
I'll
point
take
up and
I'll
to
take
your
the left
left
one.
Yes,
Up
that's
and to
where
the-
it is.
Okay. Randy, start us off. Best removal in the
Swords
game.
Swords to Plowshares. Best removal in the game. Great episode, guys. We can wrap it up right here.
Make sure your deck is running white. What can we say?
It's the best color. It's the strongest color if you know how to use it. Swords to Plowshares is a card that costs 1 white mana, instant, and it just says exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Now, being white, it has to give the enemy something good because that's just how white works.
Yeah,
You can't just do anything for your own selfish reasons. That's black. But it's exile. It's not destroy, so it gets around indestructible. It gets around all that stuff. It's just remove it, get it out of here.
Yeah, Swords to Plowshares
Bram.
is an absolute staple because it is so often reprinted in lots of Commander products. It hovers just over $1.
Yeah. You should
Forever. It's been just over $1 for a very long time.
next time you get an allowance, buy a bunch of Swords to Plowshares. Every time you're playing a white deck, it'll go in there.
Unless you don't play white decks, then don't waste your money on it.
That's what I do.
And the same is probably true for the next spell on the list. Go ahead.
It's almost the exact same card. Path to Exile. I wonder what it's going to do. It is also 1 white instant, and it just says exile target creature. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Again, white. You can't take something from someone without giving them something as well.
Without a payment.
Yeah. Give and take. You got to keep the balance of the world, and that's what white's about. Fair magic.
So I want to talk swords and path. Which would you rather give to your opponent? A land or more life?
I would give
More
them
life.
life every single
Every
10 out
time.
of 10 times.
No.
Not 10 out of 10. Probably 9 out of 10.
Yeah. The
9.99 times.
The only time I don't want to give them life is when their one threat is, 1-hit KO creature. Because that could make the hill I need to climb to eventually win impossible.
Yeah.
If I give, for example, Derek's Elenda deck.
Mm-hmm.
If I sword Zelenda and Derek's going to gain 100 more life,
It's true.
that's not helpful.
God, I love her. God, what the best creature.
So I guess if the creature's power is like 20 or more, but honestly, I think anything less than 20, I'm happy to swords it.
Well, and I think late game when they're empty-handed, I'd rather give them a land than life because we're probably racing.
Yeah.
And some people run greedy mana bases and they don't have enough basics, so that comes up sometimes too.
That's true too.
This doesn't come up as often, but more than once I have pathed my own creature to go find a land. So it's also 1 mana ramp in white. Just sacrifice a creature, go get a land at instant speed.
Yeah,
I have done that on multiple occasions.
that's honestly pretty good. That's pretty decent.
Yeah,
It's a
because
pretty decent option for white. So, listener, both of these spells, Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile, 1 white for an instant, exile target creature. It's just a really quick emergency button that you get to press to get somebody's big threat out of the way. Like, if you're not running both, you should be running one of them in your deck, probably. Next one.
All right. So same lines as Randy's been saying. White has to give something up to be effective, but this one is going to be Generous Gift, and I love this style of card. So it's 2 and a white instant, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token. Why is it not a white elephant creature token? I don't know. Should be a white elephant gift. We were talking about
Yes,
this before
should.
the show. They missed. But anyways, I love the style of card that just it takes care of whatever your problem is. If it doesn't matter if it's a planeswalker, if it's a land you just can't get past their land that untaps your creature. What is that?
Yeah, they're Maze of Ith.
Yeah, Maze of Ith. Or if they've
They're
got
Spires of Erazka.
Yep. If they've got an enchantment like the next one I'm about to talk about, Generous Gift gets it, right? It gets anything, and I love that. Just any permanent, and giving your opponent a token almost never matters. It'll get caught up in the next board wipe, and go away. The
Or
life
they'll use it to block something.
Yeah. So
I usually swing with it.
Sure, and oftentimes they will swing
Free damage.
at someone else, so it's helping you anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So very rarely will that 1/3/3 token swing the game against you, as much as the versatility of instant speed. I don't care what you have, it's gone. So I love Generous Gift, and it keeps getting reprinted. It's less than $1. It's great.
Yeah, it was a common in Commander Masters.
Yeah, and I have a stack, and it goes in any deck. Basically, any deck running white, for me, has these first 3 cards. I don't think I can think of a single white deck I have that doesn't run all 3 of these. It's
The only reason I have decks without Path to Exile is because I ran out. Like
Proxy, baby.
Like all of my Path to Exiles are in decks. I don't have an unused Path to Exile.
Yeah. This next one does not go into every single deck, but again, it's versatile, and it's not card disadvantage.
So good.
It is really good. And this was an enchantment called Grasp of Fate. It costs 1 white for an enchantment. It says when it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until the enchantment leaves the battlefield. So you get rid of 3 things for 3 mana, and it can be anything except a land. Any non-land permanent, you go, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that. And
it is so tough to beat that rate.
Yeah, and
what's great per thing.
What's great is a lot of these effects in white are things like Oblivion Ring or Banishing Light or things like that, is that they take one thing, that means that the person that you just took wants to destroy that enchantment to get it back. But if you take something from every opponent, your opponent over here is sitting there going, I want my thing back, but I don't want them to get their thing back. And so it's a little less likely to get killed. So most of the time, I'd say Grasp of Fate makes it in. It's only 18 cents. You can't beat it. It's great. I highly recommend picking up a few. Like I said, because it's sorcery speed, it's an enchantment, and because they can get their stuff back, it doesn't always go into every deck, but it certainly goes into any mono white deck. It certainly goes into any enchantment deck, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it was a bulk rare in Commander Masters, so 18 cents, just gobble these up. Like, every chance you get, this is a great card.
Yeah.
Thunder Junction should have done a reskin of it and just call it Standoff. You know, like an old Mexican standoff where it's like, it's like,
they did do something like that, like a duel
they
or
did?
something.
I have a spell in my Heliod deck called Standstill.
Okay.
And that's the card where it says the next player, or the next time a spell is cast, all of that all of that player's opponents draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
So everyone except the person who cast their spell gets to draw 3. Okay, and those are our picks for white. We've got 4 spells there. They're all less than $1. We think you should pick these up if you are building white. White's strengths are pinpoint removal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they're about staying even. So taking somebody's biggest threat away from them is saying, no, you need to slow down. You need to rein it back and go at the same speed as everyone else. That's White's philosophy when it does these things. Okay, let's jump to blue now. Derek, start us off.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the elephant, the blue elephant in the room is counter spells, specifically counter spell.
Yeah.
That one they keep reprinting it, but it's so good that it's the price keeps creeping up. We have it as $1.50 to $2 right now. But it's a blue counter target spell. Best way to get rid of something is to not let it get on the board at all or
Yep.
affect anything at all. And that's what blue is best at, is saying, I don't think so.
Yeah, so blue's got counterspell for blue, and then it has lots of conditional counterspells
Yeah.
for blue 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Or
you
just
do
blue.
yeah, if you
Mhm.
do blue in any color, or blue in 1, because you've got negate, which is counter target non-creature spell, and then there's lots of other variations: counter target enchantment spell, counter
Yeah.
target artifact spell,
Mhm.
counter target colorless spell, counter target creature. So the more specific you get, the cheaper those spells are going to be. So if you know what your opponents are playing, or if you know what's most prevalent in your meta, then you could maybe lean on those. But counterspell is, of course, the most versatile of these.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so you're listening to this episode because you're a beginner player, so you're probably dealing with heavy creature meta type stuff with your friends. So,
Yep.
counter creature spells is probably going to do some work
Mm-hmm.
early on into your meta.
Yeah.
So this is a little pet card of mine that I like to put when I run blue. These guys like to do indestructible creatures a lot, especially Travis and Randy.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit them with the reality shift, blue and 1 for an instant that says exile target creature in blue. That's a very rare ability in blue.
Unacceptable.
Uh,
Should not have it
yeah,
against Color Pie, but there it is.
yeah. Exile target creature. Its controller manifests the top card of their library, and to manifest, that player puts the top card of their library onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature. If it's a creature card, it can be turned face up anytime for its mana cost. So it's,
If it's a land, it's gone. Instant and
yeah.
sorcery enchantment, Planeswalker, gone. They don't get to cast it ever.
Well, it's not that, like, they still get the 2/2 creature. You
They
have to
get the 2/2
you have
creature.
to kill that creature, and then they can't flip it over or anything,
Right.
which is nice. But I think exiling something, especially in non-white cards, people aren't expecting it
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
at instant
And
speed.
and this card's been reprinted in tons of Commander product in the last 2 or 3 years or so. It's between 25 cents and 75 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of its different versions. It's so low.
Yeah.
I think I remember when this card was, $3 or $4.
It's super
Very
fun
accessible.
card, super exciting. I can't stress enough how fun it is. The next one, Rapid Hybridization. This is 1 blue, also an instant. Destroy target creature. So instead of exile, you're getting destroy. It can't be regenerated. Probably doesn't matter. That creature's controller creates a 3/3 green frog lizard creature token. So they get a little guy out of it, just like a little wacky little guy, but you got rid of the problem at
Exactly.
instant
And
speed.
and and just like Benjamin said earlier with Generous Gift, that 3/3 token is rarely consequential at all.
Yeah. For only
It's
1 mana, like you didn't have to. You could just wait till the end of your turn with 1 mana. People are like, he doesn't have enough for counterspell.
Right.
things like that. So got them.
Yep. And then you nail them. There is a brand new card, and I was amazed to find this because usually brand new cards stay up in price for a little bit. It's called Utter Insignificance. It has only one printing in Modern Horizons 3, but this card is only 4 cents. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. This card is 4 cents. Utter Insignificance. It's an enchantment aura for 1 and a blue. It has flash, so you can cast it at instant speed. You enchant a creature, and that enchanted creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1/1.
Mm.
That's for 1 and a blue at instant speed. So already that's better than a lot of what we've seen already. And then it has an extra ability. You can pay 2 and a colorless to then exile the enchanted creature. So you can shut it off at first by paying just the blue and 1. And then maybe they're about to sacrifice it or they're about to chump block with it or something on a later turn. You can pay the 3 to exile it for good. So awesome.
Or if they're about to free it.
Yeah. Yeah. They play a removal spell for utter insignificance, and then you go, no.
In response.
Yeah.
In response, I'm
dies.
going to exile it anyway.
Or they stick
Oh.
a bunch of equipment on it. You're like, nope.
Yeah, but guys, the power to shut off something's abilities without killing it is actually really
Yeah.
nice. It's
Using
really
that on a
useful.
commander.
Use
Yeah.
it on a commander. There were several cards we wanted to talk about tonight that we couldn't because they're too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Cards that are more than $2.
Yeah.
But this
Like
one
Darksteel Mutation.
is right here, and it's 4 cents. Find this on TCG Player, pick them up right now. Like I said, there's only one printing of it, and it's that cheap. So I don't know if it'll go up. Do you guys think this will go up?
No.
I was looking online because this card seemed really familiar to me. And I was
Yeah.
thinking of Frogify, which it does the exact same thing for the exact same mana, except it doesn't have flash,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have that extra ability to exile the enchanted creature.
Right.
And that's 35 cents. But man, talk about not necessarily like power creep, like we're just
It's
leaving
power
out
creep,
of the pages,
sure.
but same price,
Benjamin.
flash, and an extra ability. That's pretty awesome. On a common.
There are plenty
Yeah.
of more expensive cards that do this. Trapped in the Moon.
Imprisoned in the Moon.
Imprisoned in the Moon. Song of the Dryad.
Darksteel Mutation.
Darksteel Mutation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
But Utter Insignificance to be only 4 cents, that seems, I don't know, that seems wrong compared to the other ones, but that's what the internet is showing us. So
it's
those
pretty
are
nice.
our picks in blue. And like Derek said, counter spells are probably going to be your bread and butter if you're running mono blue or maybe 2 colors.
Mm-hmm.
Anything more, and you can start dipping into Utter Insignificance and Reality Shift and Rapid Hybridization because they only take 1 blue pip.
Mm-hmm.
They only take 1 blue mana to cast. So the rest of the mana cost is more flexible. All right. Black. We've moved on to black. Y'all want me to do this one? Okay. So black is full of removal spells.
Mm-hmm.
It has thousands of spells that say destroy target creature or exile target creature. But we really wanted to highlight a card that shores up some of black's weaknesses. Black can get rid of tons of creatures, but it does not have very many ways to get rid of enchantments. And that's what makes this spell so good. This spell is called Feed the Swarm. It costs 1 and a black. It is sorcery speed. It's not an instant. It says destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to that permanent's mana value. Like always in black, there's a price to be paid for doing something good. So, to destroy a creature or enchantment at this cheap cost, you have to pay life equal to the mana value. but Black has so few ways to deal with enchantments at all. You know, we're going to get later to Unstable Obelisk, Black's staple enchantment removal for a very long time
Mm-hmm.
was colorless. Like Black
Right.
didn't even have its own tool. So Feed the Swarm is about a quarter. It's been reprinted in every single commander deck since its release in Zendikar Rising. So being reprinted over and over and over again is going to keep the price down. It's about to be reprinted in Magic Foundations also. So that's good for us. We get to keep the price down and we get to play good cards. And that also means that if you're one of those people that's, regularly buys a commander product, you're going to have plenty of copies of it. Cool. Uh that's all we found for Black today. Black is really good at other types of removal. You really don't need to worry about finding the best one because you can just dip your hand in Black's common draft chaff and find removal spells. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's go to Red now. Red has some fun removal spells that are going to add a little randomness, a little chaos to your games. Go ahead, Randy.
Yep. Speaking of chaos, the first one is Chaos Warp. The red and 2 instant, the owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Could be good, it could be bad, could be the same card. We've all seen that happen before.
Yeah.
But it's only 50 cents. It gets rid of the card that you're having issues with 90% of the time. And sometimes it's fun just to, be a little chaotic and just, but yeah. And,
it is funny
I
though
think it's fun.
how everybody has that story. Like
And
everybody
it
in
came
every
back
pod
out.
has that story of tucking something awful and then flipping the same thing back.
Yeah, it's
Oh
weird.
no, the ETB happened again now.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, obviously, I agree with you. We're keeping it on the list. The vast majority of the time, they're going to hit either a land or a spell that they can't cast
Mm-hmm.
or
Mhm.
something worse than what you just got rid of.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's why you're spending removal. Because it was
Yeah.
really bad. Yeah.
Well, it's just right along the. It's the same as Generous Gift. Any deck I'm running with red has Chaos Warp because it gets rid of everything, and
Yeah.
like you can literally, and it's better than Destroy because it puts it in their library, which gets around Indestructible, gets around like Chaos Warp is so good, and like you said, half the time you're hitting a land or a spell that they like an instant or sorcery. So most of the time it's shuffle it into their library and they get nothing in return, which is
Yeah.
really good. When it's bad, right? Most people don't have that many bombs in their deck because their deck is so much support. So you're sometimes flipping into a Soul Ring or a a Mana Dork or something. So even when it gives them something back, it's not really worse than the 3/3 Beast, right? It's really good. It's right in that class of 3 mana instant, take care of everything. I always run it in red. Yeah.
And most versions are around 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
This card has been reprinted for the last 10 years. So, and it's still and it's still 50 cents. Like,
yeah.
Everybody is still running this card.
I remember when it was real
It's
expensive.
just fun.
Yeah. And you can use it on yourself. If you've got something it's especially good if your deck is almost all permanents and you're like, I'm desperate. I'm gonna turn this land into something. Let's see what I get.
Yeah.
There is a legendary creature, a dragon, whose effect is basically Chaos Warp your opponents every turn. And that's
Vivictus
Asmati.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vivictus Asmati. His design is pretty much based off of Chaos Warp. And I built Derek a Vivictus Asmati deck for Secret Santa many years ago, and I intentionally made it so that the entire deck was permanents. That way, whatever you get rid of for yourself, you're guaranteed to flip something that can go on your battlefield and gain you value.
Mm-hmm.
So if your
good.
deck is built that way, then yeah, Chaos Warp is going to be good for you too. Keep going, Randy.
Yeah, so in that kind of same vein, Wild Magic Surge is 2 red, and it is only 30 cents currently.
Yep.
Let's see. Destroy target permanent. So at least this time you're destroying it, not the possibility of bringing the same issue back out.
Right.
Destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they remove a permanent card that shares a card type with that permanent. Then put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. So, can't do it to yourself, but you're making sure that you get rid of the issue that you're dealing with and that you want to make sure doesn't come back. So,
Yeah. All that talking for the listener, all that talking just to say, destroy a creature, your opponent keeps showing stuff off the top of the library until they see another creature, or a land, or an enchantment, or whatever it be.
Right. If
It's
a
very
land,
wordy
if-
for a very simple effect.
Yeah, if it's a land, they get a land. If it's an artifact, they get an artifact. And they flip until they reveal the top card until they just get the same card type that they destroyed.
Yeah, and it
I
is
like
nice.
this because it's one less mana than Chaos Warp is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So when you make it cheaper, this card kind of guarantees that they hit something.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's cheaper, but a little less utility. You can't use it on yourself anymore. And like I said, it's more likely that if it was a creature, they're gonna get another creature. Hopefully, it's something small though.
Yeah.
and not Ulamog. I'll
Yeah.
cry. Scoop.
I added the next one on. It's very similar to Wild Magic Surge, Chaos Warp. I keep seeing Lost Caverns of Ixalan and thinking that was this year, and it's
Mm-mm.
not.
It was
That
a
was
year
last
ago.
year.
Yeah.
yeah.
Ugh, crazy. So this card is called Zoyowa's Justice. And the card is going to be on the screen. To spell Zoyowa, it's Zoyowa.
Mhm.
It's just one of those made up fantasy names. Okay. The owner of target artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles it into their library. Then that player discovers X, where X is the mana value. To discover means you exile cards from the top of your deck until you hit a non-land card that has that mana value or less. So that's why the mana value has to be 1 or greater. And then I get to look for the next non-land card that costs that much or less.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this to your own card. You can do this to your own artifact or creature in order to discover something new. And this is an instant for only red and 1.
Mm-hmm.
1 red pip and then 1 mana of any color. So again, cheaper, and now they're guaranteed to get something. But they're not guaranteed to get something quote unquote better than what you got rid of. They can only flip into something that's worth the same or less.
Yeah.
So you tuck a creature and then they flip Ulamog, too bad. It costs too much. You have to keep going until you hit something lower. I think that's great. Most decks are built with a curve for a reason, and you're most likely to hit something that costs 1, 2, or 3, Just statistically, the mana values are going down. People build their decks to be fast, and so you're just gonna hit something small and supporting in just about everybody's deck. I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's 8 cents.
Mm.
This was, I think, an uncommon in Lost Caverns of Ixalan. All right, Derek, hit us with yours.
Yeah, this one isn't necessarily like great or good, but I think it's interesting. It's called Gleeful Demolition for 1 red. It's a sorcery, which is why I say it's not great. Destroy target artifact. If you control that artifact, create 3 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature tokens. This one I think is a lot of fun because it's for like a spellslinger type deck. A thing you might struggle with is having shields down. So having a sorcery to create creature tokens to help you block, it's kind of like you're getting a 2 for 1 on your same spell, and it's at sorcery speed, and you have to destroy your own artifact, but that could be a treasure or something equally, like, not
Yeah, it
painful.
can be a token. It can be anything small.
Yeah. I just think it's fun. It's got a little bit of flexibility. But yeah, I just thought it was a cute little card.
Their red is great at getting rid of artifacts. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
red has lots of effects, lots of spells for 1 red mana to destroy target artifact. I think this is a nice effect because because as a backup, just like you said, you can put some walls up if you're desperate. If nobody else has a worthwhile target, you can target one of your own things and get some creature tokens out of it. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so with red taken care of, that brings us to green. Once again, green seems to be the best color of the color pie because we've got 6 spells listed here. We have lots of spells listed here for green, and they're very versatile. They can hit lots of different card types, and everybody wanted a bite of green. Just about everybody said, here's a card I want to talk about. So I'm going to start us off in green. If you are a longtime listener of the pod, you have heard of this card before. It is called Broken Bond. This card is an all-star. It only costs between 25 and 50 cents. This is a super cheap card, and it's great early game removal because it also ramps you at the same time. So here we go. Broken Bond costs 1 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. The perfect turn 2 play is to play Broken Bond, destroy the ramp that somebody else played, whether it was an artifact or enchantment, and then play another land from your hand onto the battlefield. So you're up to 3 lands on turn 2. Ugh, it does not get better than Broken Bond. I love this card.
You made me a believer in this card. I think the adrenaline rush I got from, I think, turn 2 destroying someone's soul ring and also ramping. Still living in that moment.
The dopamine rush just does not stop. I'm telling you. I think I've hit every single one of you with a Broken Bond before.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
Probably my soul ring.
Your soul rings, your arcane signets.
It's usually Randy. Randy hates this card.
Well, like I said, Broken Bond is less than 50 cents. If it wasn't Broken Bond, then it was this next card called Nature's Claim. Nature's Claim costs only 1 green. It's also an instant. Destroy target.
Broken Bond was a sorcery.
Oh, sorry. Broken Bond is a sorcery. Nature's Claim is better. 1 green, and at instant speed, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. This is a turn 1 play. Say the ramp in my hand costs 2. Say I've got Broken Bond, and I don't want to spend turn 1 passing. I can use turn 1 to Nature's Claim somebody else's ramp. They get 4 life for it, but I don't care. 4 life is 4 life. The same thing we were talking about with Swords to Plowshares. It's inconsequential. That life is going to get taken away sooner or later. So 4 life to get rid of their early game mana advantage, so worth it. Absolutely worth it. I love Broken Bond and Nature's Claim. These two cards make it into just about every green deck. Any deck with green. And Nature's Claim hovers around $1. You're gonna find that these 1 mana removal spells usually, if they made it onto our list, they usually hover around the $1 mark, where anything that's 2 or 3 mana is gonna go down in dollar value. Because that 1 mana is just good. It's so good to be able to do whatever you were going to do on the rest of your turn and then spend that last mana to get rid of somebody else's thing.
Yeah. Mana efficiency is king in every Magic format. So I don't think we put anything on our list until we get to artifacts that cost more than 3.
I mean, it wouldn't be very good if it cost a ton of mana.
Precisely. Right. That's what makes it good removal spells. It's got to cost less than 3 or 3 or less, because you want to be doing this in addition to building your own board. You want to be moving your own game plan forward, and you want to be doing these removal things, these supplemental things with your leftover mana.
Right.
Yeah. All right,
All right.
Derek, the next ones are yours.
Yeah, Beast Within, green and 2. This is the poster child for green removal. It's an instant, destroy target permanents. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. So it's exactly the same as the white generous gift that Benjamin was talking about, but instead of the elephant, you get a beast. And it's in green. So, perfect card, no notes.
Beast Within came first.
We stand a Beast Within.
And yeah, destroy target permanent. God. I think
Yeah.
I remember discovering Beast Within for the first time and doing like a
It's lands.
a double take. I think somebody hit, it might have been something stupid like my Temple of the False God, because it was generating 2.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "No, you don't get to do that anymore."
Yeah.
Yeah, I started adding it to decks after that.
Yeah, if Beast Within is the staple, this one might be like the second staple, the heir and the spare. Kenrith's transformation, green and 1. It's an enchantment aura. You enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Already, no notes. Love it.
Beautiful, because it replaces itself once you play it.
Yes.
Awesome.
And then enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. So it's very similar to the blue card that Travis talked about, that turns them into a 1/1
Turning
thing.
them into a 1/1, utter insignificance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get a 3/3 elk. Okay, it's fine. It's pretty insignificant usually. At least it is for me.
Always playing green.
Yeah, always playing green. My things are like 7/7s. So yeah, I mean, it draws a card. Love it. Gets rid of a creature with troublesome abilities and or power toughness. Great, and it's an enchantment, which is hard to get rid of usually.
Yeah.
So love it.
Nice Ulamog you have. Would be a shame if it were an elk.
Right.
Poof. Yeah, I think this card's awesome, and it hovers around $1 ever since Eldraine.
Yeah, get them because this card sneaks up there. Not necessarily, it's not gonna be like $5 or anything, but I think it's like $2 or $3 depending on reprint range.
Mm-hmm.
Or proxy it. Who's gonna stop you?
Always a good point. We can never forget Derek's core values here. Proxy it if you need to. Well, and I suppose we made this episode about cards less than $2, but all of them are going to cost more than $2 if you order them piecemeal.
Yeah,
because then they have to ship them to you.
Right. Yeah.
It's like this card cost me $2.25 because it was
they
an
lied
order,
to me.
and then it was $2 for shipping.
What you do is you order them all.
Order them all from the same seller.
Yeah.
And that'll save you.
We need to get us an affiliate link so that we can, whenever we talk about cards like this, we can say
Card Kingdom, I'm listening.
Yeah, come on, Card Kingdom. We're listening.
Or
come talk to us.
I guess Channel Fireball doesn't sell cards anymore, do they?
They don't.
I think they became Card Shop Live.
Oh, I think it's a Channel Fireball marketplace.
Oh, right.
Where they're a host for other people's shops now.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, it's like their own. They are their own TCG player now.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Randy, hit us with the next green removal spell.
All right, this little one called Crothin Grip. It's a green and 2. So the main part is destroy target artifact or enchantment, but it's got that sweet split second. So as long as this spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So it said, this is what's going to happen. Final answer.
Yeah.
And it does it. It's just like no, there's no. I want this to happen so bad.
That split second ability is so good. You cannot respond to it. So it doesn't matter if you had a counter spell in your hand. It doesn't matter if you have heroic intervention or anything else that might have protected
Shame.
what they're going to destroy.
Shame.
Corrosion Grip just gets it. Awesome. And yeah, it does tend to stay below $2 at this point, but you can occasionally see it hovering just below $2. It's
Also-
expensive because of that split second ability.
New
Yeah.
player, you're gonna read that split second, and you're gonna do what I did, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna play that, and they're never gonna be able to respond until like the stack is complete. No, it's once that card is off the stack, which once it resolves and destroys the thing, it's gonna do whatever. People can start adding back to the stack.
Yeah.
If there's still responses to be made.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, I'll be sneaky. I'll do this to freeze the stack more or less, so that way it's like almost like a
Mhm.
counter spell prevention, but it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
exactly right. In Yu-Gi-Oh, the stack does end once it stops. Like once people stop casting stuff, everything that's there resolves. But in Magic, once a few things resolve, people can add back onto the stack in the middle.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So definitely something confusing, especially if you're transferring, if you're shifting from Yu-Gi-Oh to Magic, that can be a new thing. So great point to bring up, Derek. Awesome. And that brings us to the last two. Derek, guide us through these last two.
Yeah. So the last two I have. So with green, they always say like they're the worst at just like destroying creatures. They have to jump through hoops. That's the thing they have to jump through hoops for. But green gets these things called fight effects, which is where your creature and their creature fight and they deal damage to each other, and whoever wins wins. Those are okay, but now they have like these bite effects where you deal damage to them, but they don't deal it back to you, which is pretty cool.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what I put here is infectious bite and ram through. Both are green and one. Both are instants. Both say target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Infectious Bite gives each opponent a poison counter, which is pretty nice. Maybe you're playing Finn the Fangbear, some
Mhm.
kind of poison toxin deck type thing. That'd be a nice synergy. And then Ram Through says if the creature you control has trample, excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. So if you're in green, obviously you probably have some fat creatures. I'm going to do a 7/7 ram through on your 1/1. So I'm going to deal 6 damage straight to its owner, which is it's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially when you get like those Ural the Miststalker type of creatures. If they have trample and they're
Yep.
massive, it's like I'll just wipe them out that way.
Derek, a long time ago when you had Thrun, there was an episode of Shuffle Up and Play with the professor where he was down he was down and almost out, and he literally needed to deal like 3 damage to somebody, but they had all of these incredible walls up and whatever. Well, he plays Ram Through and has Thrun kill somebody's utility creature so that Thrun could deal the last bit of damage with Ram
Love
Through.
it.
Mhm.
It was an incredible win with Ram Through. It was really cool.
Yeah. So these I like these cards a lot.
Yeah.
There's several more like them. Super great if you have something with like Death Touch.
I was just about to say, all of these
Get their ass.
creature you control deals damage to another target creature. That's going to look at things like Infect, Wither, Death Touch. All of those effects are
Lifelink.
going to... Yeah, Lifelink. All of the whatever effect those are all going to be taken into account with spells like these. So if it's got lifelink, you get to gain the life back. If it's got infect or wither, their creatures, even if it doesn't die, it'll be weakened by the -1/-1 counters. If it's got death touch, bam, 1 damage is enough to kill whatever it is. So all of these different effects, these deal damage cards look at and see. It's pretty cool. Anything you guys want to say about green?
It is obviously the best color.
I'm getting the green itch, y'all. I think
Yeah.
I need to build some
Yeah,
green.
that's a rash. That's what you get. All the
Poison
poison
ivy.
ivy,
Yep.
Poison ivy.
the corrosive grip on you.
Oh dear. All right. We don't want to leave anybody empty-handed. We do want to provide some multicolor options. If you're a beginner moving from your monocolor decks and now you're starting to look at some multicolor decks, here are some amazing multicolored removal spells for cheap and for less than $2. I'm going to start us off. This is one of my favorite cards since it came out. It's called D-Spark. This is from War of the Spark. It costs a white and a black, so 2 mana. Exile target permanent with mana value 4 or greater. Whatever you played that cost you a lot because it's really, really good, I get to remove it for 2. I really, really like D-Spark. The same reason I like Disdainful Stroke in blue. Counter target spell with mana value 4 or greater. For blue and
One
white.
and a
I
blue.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, so I really like these spells because I know that my opponent just tapped out for something big, and now pay I get to pay pennies to get rid of it. I love
Yeah.
that.
And most commanders, I feel like these days, are 4 CMC.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
the money shot right there.
Once something hits 4 CMC, they start stapling draw a card to the action that the commander
Yeah.
wants you to do.
Uh-huh.
But you're right, they don't usually do that for 3 or less.
Yeah.
But 4 or more is like draw a card or whatever you just did, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Or blank 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 triggers an additional time. Like they'll start stapling that on CMC 4 and up. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's why I think D-Spark and Disdainful Stroke are both really good. You know, that mana value 4 or greater, that's a sweet spot for hitting good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Benjamin,
Okay.
paint a picture for the next one and tell us a story with it.
Okay, so the next one is Maelstrom Pulse. It's 1 black and green for a sorcery. It says destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent. So again, 3 mana versatile removal that'll hit anything but lands. And there was once upon a time when this card was $15 or $20, was widely played in Modern, and just because it was so good, because of the same name thing, you might be looking at that and saying, "This is Commander." You know, everything only has one. Everybody only has one version of that card. It's only going to hit one thing. It hits tokens. If someone's got their, if you're playing against Krinko, it's like that's a nice
Yep.
army you got there. Maelstrom Pulse, swing, and they've got their tokens are gone. Right? It takes care of
Randy's got Eternal Oketra. You can hit every zombie token.
zombie. Yep, zombies, elves,
Randy's Darien deck. You can hit
all soldiers.
all his soldiers, all your elf tokens. Like
Mm-hmm.
tokens really are. I know they were for me a beginner strategy that is so attractive to the Timmies out there.
Yeah,
Treasure tokens.
You know,
it
you
can't.
can hit a
That would
treasure
hurt
or a
so
clue.
much.
It would need to be tapped because they can sack it in response and counter it because it does target. So when you target, if they sack, now it's an illegal target. But if you have a way to keep them from doing that, Maelstrom Pulse can take out all their treasures or foods or squirrels, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I love the versatility of Maelstrom Pulse. It can hit anything, right? 3 mana is about where you're going to be to hit anything, and they don't get
Yep.
anything back when you hit anything. So it hits anything, and when you need it to, it can hit a bunch of things, right? If they're not going tall, if they're going wide with tokens, we'll clear out a bunch of them, right? So to me, Maelstrom Pulse and that versatility, and I do have some sweet memories of junding them out in early Modern with Maelstrom Pulse, and yeah, sadly, Modern, especially Jund style decks, have moved to cheaper and cheaper removal.
Mhm.
There's and which is why this has gone from a $15 or $20 card to a 48-cent card. But it still plays in modern. I mean, sorry, in Commander. I will run it
Yes.
in black green decks most of the time, and I suggest picking it up while it's cheap.
Same here. Me too. All right. Next one, Derek.
Yeah, this is a fun little guy. Render silent. White, blue, blue. During instant, counter target spell. Its controller can't cast spells this turn. I usually hit other people with this, so I don't know what it's like.
Well, I
Judging
can
from
share
red
what it's like
faces
because
and voices.
I can share what it's like because I feel like I've got hit with this card many, many, many times.
Be silent.
To have your whole turn planned out, saying I've got 7 mana. I can't wait to do these 3 things. And then you cast the first thing and somebody gets you with render silent.
Yeah.
Because you just sit there dumbstruck and then you say, well, I'll pass the turn.
This feels very much like
Ugh.
like you're in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. And I remember back in the day watching the cartoon, and Kaiba's got him dead to rights. He's like,
Yeah.
blue eyes, stupid dragon, attack his life points directly or something. And he's like, oh, this is the Karibo. You can't attack this turn. It like buys him one more time,
Yeah.
or buys him one more turn for him to draw something. I like this card a lot because it's very much like a give me one more chance.
For real. Yeah, it's very, very good. The next one on our list, I love this card, Crackling Doom. This card costs 29 cents. It's red, white, and black. So 3 mana total for Crackling Doom. An instant deals 2 damage to each opponent. I love stapling on a little burn to my removal spells or to any card because you got to chew through the life eventually. So tacking on a little burn is always nice. But then it has this great removal effect. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls. So, yes, it's sacrificing, but this card is telling them what they have to sacrifice. They have to sacrifice the creature with the biggest power. I love that
It
because
gets me every time.
you're going to get their indestructible thing, their hexproof thing, their thing with ward, because they're sacrificing it. It's not me. I'm not the one removing it. You're sacrificing it. Why would you do that? Yeah, Crackling Doom is really nice. Black is starting to get more of these spells. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but ever since like Commander Legends, I think Baldur's Gate had one. But ever since, they're starting to get more where it says, they're going to kind of name some condition for what has to be sacrificed. I really like that. Creature with the biggest toughness, or creature with the highest mana value, or whatever, like has to be sacrificed. That's pretty nice. Again, it's, you don't get to choose, like you may not get to make that choice if something has a particular ability you need to get rid of. But in terms of like the game of Magic's mana efficiency, you get to hit them where it hurt.
Right.
So I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for only 30 cents, thank you.
It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Benjamin, next one.
All right, it's Sultai Charm, 13 cents for black, green, and blue for an instant, and you get to choose one. Destroy target monocolored creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards, then discard a card.
So
this
good.
is it's so good because it's again that 3 mana instant speed versatility. You can hit a creature, you can hit an artifact, you can hit an enchantment, and if you're desperate, you can go dig 2 cards deep. See what you can find, right? That's one of the things that a lot of these other ones don't have is the ability to say, there's nothing I want to remove. I want to replace it with something else. I think only Kenrith Transformation does that as well, right? But this one, when you don't need removal, you can dig for something else. But it hits creatures, artifacts, and enchantments. It's pretty versatile. it's pretty good. The only reason I don't
Yeah.
run it more is because I only have one Sultai deck. But
I like Sultai Charm too. Makes it into quite a few of my 5-color decks.
mm-hmm.
Again, because of exactly what you said, the versatility.
Yeah.
Creature, artifact, enchantment, or card draw. That's really good.
Yeah, less than a quarter. It's great.
Yeah, 13 cents. Wow. Okay, Derek,
Yeah,
what you got for us?
I'm trying to sneak this card in as a little technicality. Rakdos Charm, red and black for an
Mhm.
instant. Choose one. Exile target player's graveyard. I kind of consider that a targeted removal.
Sure.
If you're playing against someone like Benjamin who plays in the graveyard a lot. Destroy target artifact. That's my my technicality there. And then each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. We already talked about tokens and how they're, whatever. And I still remember one time years ago, Randy had Darian. I think it was Darian. And I hit him with a Rakdos Charm, let him build up like 100 guys, and just like got him and knocked him out of the game.
Listen, all
what a
you
great,
beginner players out there, the best removal is player removal.
yeah.
Yes.
So Rakdos Charm saying, "Hey, token players, you're out. You're done."
Yeah, I think. I mean, even if you don't want that little ping or whatever, or maybe it's a win con for you, depending on your meta, it's still got the targeted artifact removal, and I think the exile target player's graveyard, like 2 mana to exile someone's graveyard. I love that.
Yeah.
I would run that if that was. I would run this card even if that was the only thing. I might. I was
would run into
I was trying
that
to
was only thing.
talk the thing up too little too much.
Yeah. So again, my deck building journey was once I had done a token army, and once I had done like my Timmy things, then as I started getting more advanced and seeing more ways to build decks, the graveyard was my next step.
Mm-hmm.
How can I use the graveyard as another deck or as another hand and start using what's there again?
I think that's where I am right now.
Yeah, like as you move from beginner to advanced, you start seeing how every zone of the battlefield can be used. And Rakdos Charm is a tool in your tool belt to hit those graveyard players. Yeah, I think it's so good. Those are some multicolor options. And lastly, we wanted to provide some colorless options. These are some options that are going to be great for artifact decks. Artifacts are a very popular archetype because there's an artifact for everything. Benjamin, tell us about some of these colorless removal options.
Yeah, so all right, all of these cost less than a quarter. And the first 2 cost 7 mana, which is going to sound like a lot, but the thing about artifacts is that they help you ramp quickly. There's a lot of ramp artifacts, and there's lots of ways to reduce costs. And Magic has decided that the cost to destroy a permanent with no conditions and no drawback is 7, unless you start getting into colors. The colorless cost to destroy any permanent is 7. Yeah. So these are, there's lots of different removal in artifacts, but specifically these will deal with anything, and that's why I put them on here. Actually, who put Spine of Ishsaw on here? Was that Derek?
I did.
Okay. Spine of Ishsaw is a 7 mana artifact. It says when it enters the battlefield, destroy target permanent. Simple, easy. But it has a second ability that says whenever it's put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand. So if you have a way to sacrifice it, or if it gets caught up in a board wipe, you get to do it again, right? You can blink it because it just sits out there waiting, after it's destroyed something. So it's a way to hit multiple permanents with the same card. So, if you need an emergency blocker, you beast within it, you get your 3/3, you get it back to your hand to destroy something else, right? It's one of those things that 7 mana to destroy target permanent, it's a bit much, but the fact that you can do shenanigans with it, I think makes it work, and the fact that it hits anything, it goes in the right type of deck for that. If you can hit 7 mana,
I'll provide a little uh like deck building tech advice here. The color red has lots of artifact recursion shenanigans
Yeah.
about sacrificing artifacts and getting artifacts back from the graveyard. So, what is it? Duretti something?
Oh
Derevi.
yeah.
No, Duretti. Scrap Savant?
That's the
Yeah.
one. Duretti Scrap Savant. For a long time was a real popular CEDH deck. I don't know if that's still the case. He might have been outclassed somewhere along the way. But Joyra Weatherlight Captain is red blue that says whenever you cast an artifact, draw a card. There's lots of red artifact shenanigans from the graveyard and out in these very powerful decks. And Spine of Ishsa is going to be a key component in decks like that,
Yeah.
where you're trying to make your artifacts do the dance
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
graveyard and battlefield. Because then you can just shotgun people's boards apart.
Yep. There's also a lot of cards that sacrifice artifacts as a cost, like Gleeful Demolition that we mentioned earlier.
That's right. Derek hit Spine of Ishsa with Gleeful Demolition. Get your three goblin tokens,
Yeah.
and
Get
then
Spine
Spine of
back.
Ishsa back into your hand.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
idea.
another one that costs 7 mana is Meteor Golem. It's an artifact creature. It's a 3/3. Says when it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Now 7 mana for a 3/3, not great, but destroying any non-land permanent, pretty good. And I put Meteor Golem in any deck that can get to 7 mana because that deck is probably doing something else too. So if it's an artifact deck, then this has synergies with it. If it's a graveyard deck, this is going to go to the graveyard, and when I'm ready to reanimate something, it's a defensive card, right? I can say, well, I could get back that dragon, or I could get back Meteor Golem and solve a problem, right?
Yep.
I have a Cascade deck. This goes right in there. It wants me to play expensive things so I can play more expensive things. So having this as part of your package of expensive things where it can, he was talking about doing the graveyard dance with Spine of Ishsa. A lot of decks do the graveyard dance with creatures, and so this
Lots of them.
anything that
Oh yeah.
anything that doubles enter the battlefield triggers. Anything that doubles that blinks things, then this is a card that will go into those decks. So I like that it synergizes with so many different styles of play. I wouldn't say put that many 7 mana things in your deck, but this is worth considering if your deck wants 7 mana artifacts.
Yeah.
And then
Very good.
yeah, the last one, it plays right into that theme. It costs 7 to destroy whatever you want. And it's Unstable Obelisk. And it's 3 mana for an artifact. It has tap, add a colorless to your mana pool, so it's a 3 mana rock. But it also has pay 7, tap it, and sacrifice it to destroy target permanent. I like this one. I think any lower power level deck would be served by putting this in there because it's a mana rock. It helps you get to the rest of your game plan, right? It helps you get from 3 to 5 mana. It helps, 3 mana for a mana rock is not a great rate, but it's on curve.
It's the rate.
Yeah, it's the rate, right? That we've hit a period where there's a lot of 2 mana rocks where most of the time I wouldn't necessarily run 3 mana rocks, but this is one where if you're light on removal and you're trying to ramp as part of your plan, or you're doing the artifact dance or things like that, then Unstable Obelisk is one of the first 3 mana rocks that I will put into a deck because of its second ability. When I no longer need ramp, a ramp deck can often have the problem of I play the ramp cards and now I'm drawing it when I already have 15 mana. But this one
Yep.
can then destroy whatever problems on the board on top of that. Right? So it's good early to help you get to the late game, and it's good late to destroy what you need. So I like it because of that versatility. It destroys anything. It goes in any deck that wants 3 mana ramp.
I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
a great pick, especially on a budget. This card costs 10 cents.
Yeah.
It costs 10 cents. It's a common. They kept reprinting it in Commander Masters. So somebody out there is playing it.
Yeah. I play it in my artifact decks. It's not the best thing in the world, but if you're on a budget.
Cat is here. Hello, Mr. Business.
He was begging for attention.
Randy, show us the business.
This end or business end?
The cute end.
Okay.
Why'd you turn it around? Turn it back around.
Like we said at the top of the show, that all decks need removal. Okay? Other people are going to be trying to stop your game plan. And you need to be doing the same thing to your opponents. You need to be stopping their game plan. Because any game plan that runs unchecked is going to snowball out and win the game. And if you want to stop your opponents from doing that, then you need to be running pieces like these. So we hope we gave you some great options in every color. Is there anything that you guys want to add to today's episode?
If we missed anything, put it in the comments. If you have any great recommendations, let us know.
I can always count on y'all for that. I always forget.
Can't count on me. Keep it to your damn self. I don't want to hear it.
No, I definitely want to hear it.
Travis is very active in the comments. If you make a comment, he'll respond. So, a word of wisdom here is that if you play Commander, you want to pick a few removal spells to help the game, to help you have a chance to do your thing. Don't overdo it. Right in a casual game of Commander where you're trying to play with friends, everyone wants to do their thing. And it's more fun when you get to see a deck pop off. And it's also fun when you get to stop them from popping off so that you can pop off and your friend can pop off. But once everybody pops off, then somebody needs to win the game. So pick maybe 5 of these that work best with the deck that you're playing so that you can, like Travis said earlier, protect your game plan and have a chance to win. But then the rest of your deck should be about winning for yourself.
Yeah, and don't get salty when somebody else does win. One of the sayings that gets me through losing is that games have to end. Somebody has to win. So it's okay when that somebody is somebody else. Hey, somebody.
I knew Derek was going to make a face.
Somebody has to win. So
I don't know about that.
If your deck has, if your deck's got removal but you don't draw it, it's okay. It's all right. Add more card draw if you want to fix that the next time. But it is okay when other people win, and like Benjamin said, it's fun to stop people from winning too.
Mm-hmm.
But in casual games where there are no prizes on the line, games do have to end, and it's okay when somebody wins, even if that person is not you. Anything else? Derek, Randy, any final words?
If you know you're going to lose, try to sow as much chaos as you can before. You may not win, but it'll be fun.
All right.
Benjamin,
how can people find our Patreon?
They can go to patreon.com/mymythicalmeta.
Randy, how can people contact us directly through email?
mymythicalmeta@gmail.com.
Ooh, first try. Nailed it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Benjamin, Derek, Randy, thank you guys for being my great friends. Adios.
Later.
Bye.
This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.